Welcome to church today. My name's Brett. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We're going to dive in today as we continue our series, Family Vibes. Come on, we love you. We appreciate you. We hope to see you sometime at Saints Church, either in Glastonbury or Glory Hills. In real life, we can't wait to connect with you in the days as we go ahead. And I just want to say this, if you need someone to talk to, if you need somebody to pray with, you can get out your phone right now and you can text or call 587-400-2010.
I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Oh, my praise belongs to you forever. Oh, this is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify about Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Oh, come together, sons and daughters, washed in blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of this Father, Spirit, Son. Our God will finish what He started. Our God will finish what He started. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify about Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, we all got a testimony, something that God's done in our lives. Let's just sing this out. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Oh, greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. Come on. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify about Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. Oh, I'm alive. This is my testimony from death to life. Because grace rewrote my story. I'll testify about Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony.
Before we go any further, I just needed to take a moment to thank you for watching, to thank you for being with us today. I also want to thank you for choosing to obey the words of Jesus and to invest into the local church. We truly believe that the local church is the hope of the world, that it's our job to point to Jesus like a giant neon sign saying, hey, this is where you find hope in life. Every dollar that you invest not only goes to programs like this, but it goes to reaching people around the world. Thank you so much for giving and for giving generously. Would you consider asking the Lord how you could partner with Saints Church today?
Reign above it all, over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song. Sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Oh, you reign above it all. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. 'Cause you sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You reign above it all. You reign above it all. Over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song. Sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Yes, you reign above it all. You reign above it all. Yes, you reign above it all. 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 Over the universe and over every heart. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song. Sing hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all.
Family vibes. I don't know about you, but I have like some very fond memories of some of my absolute favorite family gatherings, going to my grandparents' house at Christmas time or Easter, or we would kind of do like a monthly Sunday lunch after church. And I just loved going there. I loved eating the food. I loved spending time with the family. Now, I'm the oldest cousin, so I loved that day where I graduated from the kids table and I got to sit at the adults table. There was just something special, and so many of the memories that I have in my life connected to my family, so many of those moments revolved around that table. Acts 2:42 is a picture of the origin stories of the church, and I just wonder if we have underestimated the power of the table in our spiritual journey. This is Acts 2:42. All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to sharing in meals, including but not limited to the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. They committed themselves to those four things. So if we're trying to understand what does the beginning of the church look like? It looked like believers devoted to the apostles' teaching, to truth, to teaching. And I think we've done a great job at this. They were devoted to fellowship. We've not done as great a job here. That this idea of fellowship is this intimacy, connection, relationship, friendship, even on a deeper level, into sharing in meals and to prayer. So we've taken these four pillars, these four things that the early church is built on, the origins of the ecclesia, that's the Greek word, that we're called out from our comfortable place into a public place so we could spread and share that hope and life that's found in Jesus. Now, when we think about these four pillars and we think about our church and our context. Now, we can talk about Saints Church, and maybe you go to Glastonbury, or you're a part of Glory Hills, or maybe you're a part of our online community here. Maybe you're watching online or on TV. You might say, well, I pray, and prayer is an important thing. We have prayer meetings, and we have the apostles' teaching. And I think in this season, this COVID season, what we've all learned and what we've all been leaning into and realizing is this deep need for a human connection. I don't know about you, but even for some of my introverted friends who would be on that side of the scale, they're like, you know what, I think I'm done now. I could use a little social interaction. I could use a hug from my friend. I could use a shoulder to cry on. I could use somebody to laugh with. And what's happened in this season is that there's just been this like highlighting of maybe some of the things that we took for granted that were a part of the origin stories of the church. More than anything else, the church is a community. Jesus would describe the church through the Apostle Paul as not only his body, but as his bride. So there's this relational connectivity. We are building a house on a firm foundation, so we're building our lives on him. And I think what he's doing is he's bringing to our awareness our deep desire for human connection, the spiritual connection that happens through relational connection, how God is using those friendships to, as the Proverbs say, as iron sharpens iron, he's using it to sharpen us to share love with. He's using that tool, and it plays such a major part for us. The other interesting item is number 3 is sharing in meals. I don't know if you know this, but communion wasn't always Welch's grape juice in a little plastic cup and some terrible tasting crackers. It wasn't always that way. Communion, actually, the first communion really started as a part of a dinner, the Last Supper with Jesus. And as the cup was being passed around the table, he just picked it up and he made it an analogy, and he said, listen, this is my blood, and he started talking about it. And as the bread went around the table, he started breaking pieces off, and he said, this is like my body. And Jesus did it in the context of, get this, a meal. I wonder if we have systematized our relationships and systematized our sacraments to such a point that we have become disconnected from the root system, that there is a spiritual key to be unlocked through fellowship, community, relationship, and sharing in meals. In Ephesians 5, the Apostle Paul says this, speaking to the church in Ephesus, he says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children. Live a life filled with love, following the example of Christ. He loved us and offered himself as a sacrifice for us, a pleasing aroma to God. So when we think about the four pillars, let's say, of church found in Acts 2, that's the what, but we have to ask ourselves the question, what's the how? Because the culture of it, the vibe of it, the family feeling of it is what we're trying to get to. We know what we should do, but the question is how we should do it, and not in as much as like how do we prepare a meal, but what's the spirit about it? What's the heart behind it? What's the direction? What's the why behind we do it? And here it says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, and live a life filled with love. It says, imitate God because you are his dear children. In other words, his DNA in your life, his attributes, his character, as he's changing you and transforming you to look more and more like him, means that you will be overflowing with love. Following the example of Jesus, we're overwhelmingly looking like, feeling like, acting like, and putting out there love. An overwhelming kind of love, a love that doesn't give up, a love that quit, it keeps no records of wrongs. I mean, you could look at 1 Corinthians 13. So then our family vibe or our feel is love, and the mode and the method with which we carry that out is deep fellowship, a deep love for one another, and a deep intentional purposeful gathering where we break bread, but we don't just break bread, but we open up our hearts and we open up our lives and our homes. I think it would be a shame if we were to celebrate all things reopening as we move past COVID, and if we simply opened up church buildings and if we didn't open up our lives. Because the reality is, church buildings is not the church, are not the church, whatever the proper grammar is. You are the church. And Jesus is asking us in this season to lean in, to take what we've learned, to imitate him, to live a life of love, to live in close proximity, to live in relationship, to do it like the Apostle Paul says, to imitate me as I imitate Christ. Follow me as I follow Christ, to live in close quarters, to share our lives together, to open up our hearts and our homes, not just our buildings. He said it's going to be a determiner. It's his DNA coming through you. It's his attributes coming through you. It's a determiner. John 13:35 says, your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. The way that you love is the proof of concept that you are a follower of Jesus. The way you open your life, the way you open your home, the way you open your heart is proof of concept that you are a follower of Jesus. Now, this might even seem a little counterintuitive to us because we're like, listen, no, we just need to love people. And I've got this like whole evangelistic streak. You're like, this seems very self-serving. It's not self-serving when you understand that the atmosphere of loving one another is the root system, is the soil, it is the place, it is the fertilizer where people can grow. When they come into an atmosphere where they can be loved, where love is preeminent and it's before all things. When you enter that, when you leave drama behind, when you leave backbiting and gossip and slander behind, and you just step into an environment where there is just this overwhelming love, everything begins to change. Because everything that you know about human relationship is redefined, and it's redefined through the lens of Jesus. The table was and is a place of intimacy and connection. I'll say it again. The table was and is a place of intimacy and connection. You know what I love to do, and I'm so excited about doing in this season? I love barbecue. I love smoking meats. I love a 12-hour cook for a brisket. I love the whole preparing the sides and cooking up all these different things. I love having people over and having a house full and a patio full and a backyard full. I think I'm most excited about sharing in these meals together. But I think what I've learned about myself is that as much as I enjoy eating the brisket and as much as I enjoy like just diving in and having a great meal, what I love more is serving my friends. Because in those moments, with every hour that goes by, when I'm cooking a brisket for 12 hours and I get up at 5 in the morning, that takes a special type of commitment, a special type of sacrifice to prepare. And there's something about showing my love for my friends by making that sacrifice for them. I love all the preparation, and there's like that adrenaline rush that kind of kicks in, like when you're just putting it all together. You're like, are we going to make it? They're going to be here in 5 minutes. Are we ready? And you're just kind of like getting ready. And so, yeah, I love enjoying the meal together, but I love watching them enjoy the meal. There's something about watching others enjoy that is joy. There's something about serving sacrificially others that brings a special type of contentment when they bite into that first bite, when they love it. And I love it that they love it, and I love it that I can do it for them. You know, in the Middle East culture, Near East culture, particularly in the time of the New Testament, the table was known as a place of intimacy and connection. You see, I think we take for granted going out for a restaurant and sharing a meal. That just wasn't a thing. Someone would have to open their home for you, and they would bring you into their life, and you would all just share an extended period of time together. And there wasn't TV to watch or something else to do. It was the highlight to go and spend your life, because in this culture, in the context of Scripture, to share a meal together was to share your life together. So the table was and is, I believe it can be again, a place of intimacy and connection. We don't just share a meal when we gather around the table, we share our lives. So let's look at the actual practicalities, the actual hows of the early church. It says this in Acts 2:46. They worshiped together at the temple each day. Okay, that was amazing. They met in homes for the Lord's Supper, and they shared meals with great joy and generosity. A marker of these meals was great joy and generosity, a great joy to serve one another, to prepare something, to see somebody else enjoy it, to take care of someone, to make something that somebody loves, to just do it for them. Why? Because it's special to put in that extra little bit of love, because you know that you love the person that you're preparing it for. Great joy and generosity was the characteristic of this table. Can I ask you this? When was the last time you would define a dinner that you were a part of as one that was marked by great joy and generosity? Would you define your friendships and your relationships as relationships that are marked with great joy and generosity? You see, a DNA marker that proves to the world that we are disciples of Jesus is not only our love, but a product of that love is great joy and generosity. When you love somebody, you're happy for them as they move through the greatest successes of their life. You're sad for them when they go through a deep loss, but you're steady for them when they need a shoulder to cry on. There's nothing better than laughing together as you celebrate and you just live in a great moment. It's a marker. There's a generosity in you when you love somebody, that you help make that dream happen, or you help take care of their most basic needs. I wonder if our busyness and the chaos of our lives and the institutionalization of our relationship has eroded and degraded our capacity to be present with one another and love each other in a moment that trickles out from just a meal into our lives. Here's another marker. It says a deep sense of awe came over them all, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. This sense of awe and wonder came on them in this community that was marked by great joy and generosity, awe and wonder was wrapped in there. I wonder if some of the greatest miracles that happened in that situation came out of a genuine love for one another. Because, when it's a loved one going through something, there's a different desperation that comes in your prayer. When it's a loved one in need of something, there's a different way that you respond, where you give and you contribute and do what you can do with what you have. It's just a little different when it's somebody you love. It just hits a little different. Then add into the mix that before almost every major miracle that Jesus performed, this phrase appears, and Jesus was moved with compassion. I wonder if the power that you have been seeking, or the power and the glory of Jesus Christ, the healings, the signs and the wonders, I wonder if they are not as prevalent in our day and age, because the deep love, fellowship, and connection is not first and foremost in our community. And you say, hold on though, but we love one another. Yeah, we like one another. See, love keeps no records of wrong. Love forgives. Love looks past frustrations. Love looks past offense. Love covers a multitude of sins. Love creates a space of grace where people can encounter hope, life, and freedom, but most importantly, where they can encounter forgiveness from you and for you. Love changes the atmosphere. Maybe the greatest miracle that happened was the one of generosity, where people just started taking care of others' needs, where they thought of someone else before they thought of themselves. Then this is what happens. Verse 47, the result: all the while praising God, enjoying the goodwill of all the people, and each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. He added to their relationships, to their community, to their homes, to their lives, those who were being saved, those who were not already saved, those who were not already cleaned up. It's a space for grace where people can grow and they can develop, and they're going to make mistakes and there's going to be tough moments, but because of love, love will carry them through. Because they know that your home is a safe refuge, they know that they have somewhere to go. They were added to their fellowship, to their relationship, those who were being saved, those who are in process. Do you have room in your life and in your schedule for somebody who is in process? Is there room at your table? Is there room at your table? Let's change camera angles for a moment. Let's change our thought process for a moment. Let me ask you another question. Let's come at it from a different direction. What is the tone of your table? What is the tone of your table? We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to connect with us, you can find us at saintschurch.ca, or you can give us a call, 587-400-2010. We want to walk with you. We're here to talk, to connect, to pray. We love you, and we're following Jesus together, one step at a time.